What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Filip Latocha, and today we are recapping the Chicago Shamrock Shuffle 2024, talking about a current weird injury I'm working with, and then looking forward at the upcoming races for this coming weekend and the future. So, without further ado, let's begin. Well, actually, first, I guess, if you're already subscribed to the channel, thanks. Love you guys a lot. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do subscribe, like the video, all that good jazz. Follow me on Instagram, Strava. You guys know where to find me and all that. So without further ado, now let's begin, right? So the Shamrock Shuffle is a Chicago tradition, of course, an 8K race that is usually the gateway into Chicago Marathon training and the Chicago Racing Series overall, I would say. And I've done this race since at least 2016, up and not including, I think, 2020, which was, I believe, the only, maybe even 2021. Those might have been the only 2 years I don't recall the Shamrock Shuffle actually happening. So I've done every single race since then, so that's about 6 or 7 of them at this point. And when you do over 5 of them, you start getting legacy spots for the Chicago Marathon, which is a cool thing, right? So all that aside, the results from this race was that I did run a 32-minute and 41-second 8K race. And there's a couple things to consider here. Number one, this was just a textbook, like 80% to semi-threshold kind of run for me. I wasn't approaching it as an A race necessarily, even though I like to do well during this race. And as a result, the time is a little bit slower than in past history. So like when I looked at my run results from last year, I ran something of like a 31:07, and then the year before it was a little bit faster, and in 2019 it was like 29 minutes and something. So the time is gradually getting a little bit more and more as the years go on. But it's also worth considering, like I said, two things. One is that I didn't approach it with like maximum effort, and that was one as a result by design. I didn't want to like treat this as the A race, and then two, there was a lot more wolf packing on this course, and I'm not sure if it was as a result of me just being pushed further back in like the A corral in which I started in, or if it was just as a result of because I was going slower, I wasn't dodging nearly as many people at the very start of the race, and therefore when the wolf packs were kind of building across the course, I wasn't getting stuck in them. You know what I mean? So this was something that I observed early on, and there's like a couple of videos of it I'll try to share somewhere in like this general video where like I can't really get my footing, or I can't really get stuck into a quick pace about until the first like 5K of the race, okay? So I am consistent. Like the first mile was relatively slow during this race because again the wolf packing's massive, and then the next 3 miles after that kind of stabilize, okay? So that I'm able to keep something around like 6:40, and then I'm able to keep it at 6:20, and then it kind of gradually fades away a little bit as you get to like mile 4 and mile 5. But as I think about it now, I remember that at mile 4, usually this is when you pass like one of the streets that puts you close to the Sears Tower, not Willis, but the Sears Tower, and you start going back east towards Grant Park. There's like this underpass you take close to Wacker, and then you take that south turn down, I believe. Oh man, I don't remember all my streets. It must have been like Ida B. Wells. I really don't remember. But anyways, most of you who know the course will probably know what I'm talking about. But point there is, I took that road south, and usually at this point I'm like dry heaving and gagging because I'm just like putting in that maximum effort to just get through the course. I'm not really taking any fluids or taking any nutrition because it's an 8K. I'm not really considering that. I'm not gagging at all. I'm not feeling sick. Like I feel smooth, and that's something that's always been unusual when it came to running this particular race. Is usually at the end I'm pretty dead. I just want to like vomit. I just want to go home. I don't want to eat, but I do want to eat at the same time. It's like a total mess. But this time around I felt controlled. After the race, didn't feel too cold. I didn't feel bad whatsoever. Obviously my calves were sore, but it was nothing like unusual, right? So all in all, like the results were a little bit less than what I had expected, but I walked into the race expecting less. So maybe in the future I'll consider pushing a little bit more during this race, given the schedule and, following races upcoming and whatnot, to see if I can fit some 8K specific training into the block. And realistically, I should have been totally able to, but again, I, I I'm not having like the fastest year of my life so far. There's a lot of fitness that's still coming back that has been lost from either sitting here a little bit longer, doing work stuff, just being sick a little bit more often last year, just the run fatigue, a little bit of burnout from just, repetition of running in an environment which isn't necessarily the most friendly running environment versus like in the city where you can run next to the lake and like all the paths. So there is a few sandbag excuses I guess we can throw there, but realistically, I'll take what I can get. I managed to get to the start line. I had a good time. I didn't get hurt. It was a good show just of the current fitness, and like it's not the world's best. It wasn't my best like 8K of all time, but it was a good showing. It shows that I was still able to keep above the paces that I thought I was able to. So nevertheless, that's kind of our result. But moving forward, that was the B race. Now we get into A race block, which is the Cooper River Bridge 10K in Charleston, South Carolina, this coming Saturday. So at the time of this filming, I believe it's Monday evening-ish. And I'm going to basically try to fly in Thursday night after some work and training-related objects. For those who know, it's sans training season for me, so I've got like less than a month to pass my GIAC, so we're kind of working on that. Get that all sorted out. It'd be nice if I could pass that once and for all. It's been just kind of bugging me a lot, and this is just something, again, to my previous point with the Shamrock Shuffle, it's when I get into work training mode, my brain seems to take like a precedence on wanting to study and like pass these exams over actual run training, just because I know that there's like the logical part of my brain kind of runs into this thing of, okay, work is paying for your training, therefore you should train yourself to get these certifications for work, and therefore you make money, and more money means a little bit more freedom of opportunity to do things, right? So there's a logical path that gets there, but you also have to balance that with the fact that you can't just sit in front of a textbook, study all day long, and then when you're all done studying, quote unquote, and then it's time to train running, you're like, oh wow, I can't do this because I've lost all my fitness, right? So you have to find this balance. So whenever I'm like stuck in these long study phases or anything like that, I gotta like step away and just do like 3 workouts in one day and then come back to studying the next day or that night, whatever it may be. So anyways, point there from that tangent is I'm going to try to get to Charleston Thursday night. Friday is going to be like another work day, so I'm going to bring my work laptop, my study materials, get some of that knocked out while I'm out in this out in Charleston. Then go to the expo, pick up my bib, all that jazz. Saturday is race day, so we'll just go race. And then that'll be probably the one day I can have a little bit of fun while I'm out in Charleston with the lady. And then Sunday will be either a travel day back, or it's just going to be another relaxed day. And then maybe Monday is our return date. It's kind of up in the air, so we'll have to sort all of that out sooner than later. We've been really procrastinating with the planning of this trip just because of a lot of life things going on, and I'm sure procrastinating while traveling or packing or all that jazz for a trip is not uncommon to the common person, unless you're that person that has it all done a month in advance and you're just sitting there at your desk like, okay, can't wait for this trip, we got 37 days to go. Like, you could be that person, or you could just be like me, who when you work for the aviation or airline industry, you have to be a little more spontaneous about like what kind of flights you can jump on at what given time for free. So there's that, right? And then hotels, you just have to kind of take some gambles on those as well. So that's Cooper River Bridge. I come back from Cooper River. Then what is that? That's gonna be 4-6. I don't have another race scheduled until the Soldier Field 10-miler. That's right. I did, in fact, sign up for that race just this morning. So that is officially confirmed as my race in basically May. So there's going to be this big block in April where I can put in some longer volume or higher volume work, longer distance work. There's some concerts I'm going to go to. Maybe I can take a spring break vacation somewhere in between here. We'll see what happens, right? And then from the Soldier Field 10-miler, we have about 2 weeks until Chicago 13.1, which is going to be a race I've signed up for before but didn't do because of an injury. And then from here, we go into the summer training block, which then takes us into the Chicago Triathlon. And from the Chicago Triathlon, we go to the Crystal Lake Half Marathon. And then that kind of takes us to the Chicago Marathon. That's the pseudo roadmap of big races that are kind of on the schedule. Now, there's going to be some little things that will probably fall in here between. There'll be some work travel days. There'll be some studying, all sorts of things like that. Concerts. There's a few concerts that are just back to back to back to back on my radar. So there's going to be a lot of fun in this general area here, right? So there's going to be fun time. That's what we'll call it. Fun time of training, work, study, all that jazz in the middle of a giant race schedule. So, yeah, this is going to be kind of cool. We'll see how that plays out. But in the meantime, as we're prepping for Cooper River Bridge, I guess the main preliminary pre-race report is the use of some of these. As most of you know, these are probably you'll either know them as acupuncture balls or lacrosse balls, whatever they are. And basically the weird thing I'm dealing with is a little bit more of like a phase 2 to a phase 1 injury I've had for a little while now. And that's something related to the middle left side of my back. And what I do typically with these is like the left side close to my spine, but also like kind of going, extending outward to like my shoulder blade-ish. It gets sore time to time. It feels almost like a closer to the vertebrae. It feels like a bruise if you were like pushing it sometimes. And the way I relieve it is I don't put this directly on the spine, but I'll like put it on my chair back here, and I just kind of roll it out, just pushing against the chair with the lacrosse ball, just to kind of relieve I guess it's like the lataris. I forget which muscle group it is, but it's the ones in the middle left area of your back. It's not like in the lower area that's sore, it's like in the mid area. And I've had this injury for I don't know how long. It may have been related to a couple of things, or just 10,000 straws breaking a camel's back, in the sense that I used to lift very heavy when I was still working out in my old college gym, when I was still starting off with running. I could have had bad form while running, bad technique, maybe something in the water while I was swimming, maybe a position while I was biking, and then you're like bumping on the ground and something kind of destabilizes. There's a lot of things as to why my back can be experiencing some soreness, and I haven't been taking care of it nearly as much recently as I should have. And then in addition to sitting a lot in chairs, this doesn't help very much. Usually when I'm sitting in the chairs, when I experience the majority of my soreness. But that's unusual, because I think a lot of people that experience chair soreness, it's usually in their lower backs. And then I was humoring the idea of potential disc herniation. But I think I'm going to debunk that for now, only based on like preliminary reports, which is that if there was a herniated disc, there would be a lot more pain in the back, and I would be experiencing numbness in various areas of my body, because that herniation should be pinching some nerves, to my understanding, that would otherwise create that numbness in various areas. So there is no numbness. The only explanation I have for sure, and I only know this because I did this once like an idiot, is whenever I'm doing my core workouts and I'm laying on my back, sometimes the yoga mats at the gym are like too thin, and that one particular vertebrae that's kind of, I guess, sore right now is the one that's usually with the most contact on the ground first. So it's likely when doing like crunches, or you're like laying on the ground for long periods of time, just that vertebrae is just directly on the ground, with just that little yoga mat kind of being the difference between being flat on like a rubber tile and like not. So it's possible that it's just bruised from being a bone with direct impact on the ground. I know I once had a weird soreness on my back when I tried doing crunches in the sauna. I saw people used to do core in the sauna. I'm like, what's the benefit here? And I like remember trying it out, and you're doing that on wooden planks. And I remember leaving the sauna, I was like, Jesus, like that was really all weird. And it's like, yeah, because you're basically like rolling your spine on wood. So I thought, after I did that once, and I thought to myself, like, no way I'm ever doing that again. So it's a very similar soreness to when I did that in the sauna. That was like a few months back, and then like now it's like one particular vertebrae that's giving me this kind of soreness. But the question there is, how is that impacting running? It's not bad. I'll say that much. Like, I don't really think about it much during the run. Maybe like very early on when I'm like still warming up, I'll feel like a little bit of like soreness when my arm swings, just because it's also impacting some of the tendons and muscles in my back. But no, it's not like I have to stop because like, it's like, oh my god, my back. It's just like it kind of subsides after a while, and then yeah, it's just very weird. And I've just been rolling it out with a lacrosse ball for like the last 2-3 days, and I have definitely created a lot of relief on the tendons. And then once I got the lacrosse ball like really close to the spine, like the particular vertebrae that was feeling like it was bruised, I was just like gradually rolling around it. I wasn't trying to like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Tamper too much with the particular vertebrae. I just wanted to just take it easy, you know. I didn't want to like directly impact it, or can't even think of the word I'm looking for. Not bully it. This is where like my various language words kind of come in, but whatever. You get my point. I didn't want to like abuse the original like sore points. So whatever. That's kind of just the weird injury I'm going into Cooper River with. But other than that, like, legs are fairly okay. My speed is okay. It's not like the best it's ever been. I'm not feeling the greatest I've ever been either, but there's still plenty of time and work to be done. And this would just basically wrap up like the spring calendar as I roll into like close to the summer block. So yeah, a lot of good things coming up. It's just a case of getting back into the swing of more volume, getting ready for Chicago Marathon season while taking off the check boxes for like the smaller races that kind of come up. And yeah, sub 3 is still always a goal. It's there. We will get there, more or less, but it's going to take some time and some time commitment. And balancing work, life, and all those other things is going to be nothing unusual. It's just something that needs to be done. So we'll see how it goes, you know. It's 2024. We'll make it happen, all right? So, again, if you know anything about the spine and things like that, and you have some suggestions, let me know in the comments below if you get to this point in the video. Again, if you did the Shamrock Shuffle, let me know how you did. If you're doing Cooper River or any of the races coming up, let me know. We'll hang out. We'll get some pizzas, some red sauce. We'll get some macarons or whatever they're called. And yeah, it'll be a good time. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.